welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie, otherwise known as the Vintage Academic. I am a transfer student at UC Berkeley. I study anthropology and I'm currently a rising senior. I will be a senior starting in like a week because that's when school starts. If you've never been to my channel before, hello, welcome to the floor of my apartment. Before I start this, let me preface it by saying that I have ADHD and my floor time as a neurodivergent is very important to me, so that's why I'm filming down here today. And the topic of today's video is my goals and fears for my senior year at UC Berkeley. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you would know I did this for my first year at UC Berkeley, which was my junior year, since I am, again, a transfer. So I thought I would do it again for my senior year, because being a senior, when you transfer during a pandemic and the first time you're ever going to be on campus and in person is as a senior when you only have 2 more semesters before you graduate, has its own set of challenges. So I thought I would write them down real quick and then share them with you so I can organize my thoughts a little, and then I was going to play with my puzzle while I talked to the camera. Give me a moment to write down some thoughts and I will be back shortly because clearly I did not prepare for this video. Okay, and we're back with a list of things that I have thrown together. If I forget anything, oh well, you guys will never know. We're gonna start with the fears and end with the goals because I always like to end on a positive note. So the first thing I wrote down is social anxiety, and this is something that I've already been experiencing, coincidentally. So clearly I am back in Berkeley in my apartment. I am no longer in the middle of nowhere, California, doing my summer job, which thank God, because I was losing my mind. Being back in Berkeley as campus is starting to reopen and students are moving back into the dorms and apartments and whatnot here in the city means that it is way more crowded than it was when I moved here. I think I said this in a previous video, I think in the vlog that I'm trying to film today, that I got very comfortable with Telegraph Avenue being relatively quiet and empty and there not being a lot of students on campus and doing my school from my studio apartment. And I just got very comfortable with the way things were during the pandemic, and the fact that there are a crap ton of students walking around campus and downtown Berkeley right now is making my social anxiety go through the roof. Like, I am not a person with a ton of social anxiety. I mean, I can get a little shy when meeting people for the first time, but I also have a big and boisterous personality, at least in my opinion. I think I'm just like overwhelmed by the amount of people that there are when I've been either alone or at my mom's house with my mom and my fiance for a year and a half at this point, which I'm sure a lot of other people are also feeling. But there is another added layer to that, which is the fact that I'm a non-traditional student, meaning that I am older than most students are. Today when we were walking up and down Telegraph Avenue, I'm looking at all these freshmen who are like 18 and being like, damn, like, I'm really feeling my age, especially because I think I told this story in my vlog as well, but last semester I was walking Dougie at a park and he ran up to a bunch of people and was like, hi, hello, pet me. So I stopped to talk to them because they were petting my dog. And they were like, so are you like an alumni or are you like a grad student? And I was like, I'm a junior. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a non-traditional student or being a re-entry student or being on the older side, because education never stops in my opinion, but it's just a little uncomfortable to be almost 10 years older than your cohort of students. And I mean, I'm definitely not the oldest student that's ever been at Berkeley. I know people who are older than me who are, you know, in my major, in my cohort. So I'm not alone, but it's still just like a weird phenomenon, you know, because you think of the college student being like the 18 to 21-year-old and not the 26-year-old who is engaged and has a fiance and a career. So, another fear that I have, and I'm doing a great job at talking and not playing with my puzzle, but another fear that I have is that I'm not going to be able to manage my schedule. And this is like not an undue fear because, like I said, I have ADHD, and managing like time management and managing a schedule and like juggling multiple things at once is not something that I'm particularly good at because of that. I mean, I think I've always kind of managed, but the only reason why I manage is because I filled my schedule up so much to the point where I was just kind of constantly in crisis mode. So I had like no option but to be on top of things and like no option but to study for my tests, because I literally didn't have any other time to do anything else because I was working 35 hours a week and taking like 18 units and all of the other things that come along with life. So I've been pretty good about compensating for it, but like one of the reasons why I got diagnosed is because when the pandemic hit and we all had all this free time because I'm just sitting around my apartment listening to Zoom lectures, my entire life crumbled because I had no external structure. So going from pandemic, being alone in your apartment with no external structure and kind of flailing, to having to go back to having a rigid structure and having school schedules and work schedules and all that good stuff is kind of intimidating right now, if I'm being completely honest. I haven't had to do it for a while, so I am just a little nervous about it. Applying to graduate school is the next one that's on my list, and oh boy, is that a major fear. I mean, I don't think applying to graduate school necessarily has to be something scary, but it definitely feels like big and significant, especially because the programs that I'm looking to apply to, none of them are master's programs. They're all like a master's on the doctoral track. So like literally 7-year-long PhD programs. So like, that's a lot. That is a big commitment to take on. Oh, this piece goes up here. The worst that happens is that I get into a PhD program and I try it, decide that it's not for me, and leave with my master's. But the process of applying to PhD programs is a little nerve-wracking because it's just so much more involved than it is applying for undergrad. Because like when I applied for undergrad, you know, I knew I was only going to apply to the UCs because I didn't want to like write multiple applications, and I got the fee waiver and I didn't want to spend any money because I'm broke. So like applying to undergrad really wasn't all that big of a deal because it was just like the next step in my undergraduate education. It was just what you do after going to community college. Applying to grad school though is big because it kind of sets you up for your future career. It's like, it's getting that research experience, it puts doctor in front of your name, and it's also a huge commitment in terms of like your life and your loved ones, because like the programs I'm looking to apply to aren't in Northern California, which is where like I kind of try to stick because I have like a chronically ill mom in this area and I have a fiance who lives in this area. So if I get into a university that's in a different state for a 7-year-long program, we're gonna have to uproot our entire lives and figure out what to do. So it's not just the fact that applying for a 7-year-long program is scary, which honestly, personally, in my opinion, it's not all that scary because, I mean, those 7 years are going to pass anyway, so you might as well do something with that time. But it's more like the impact that it's going to have both on my life and the life of the people around me that is, it's big, it's significant, it's important. So there's that. Then there's also, you know, facing potential rejection, having to take the GREs, having to write a personal statement, having to pretend like I know what the hell I'm talking about. Doing informational interviews with faculty, like potential advisors. It's just a lot. So it's something that I am trying not to avoid. Kaylin is being very kind and working with me on that and giving me homework so that I don't avoid it as much as I possibly can. The next one that I put on here was friends, which honestly just about sums up how I feel about that. Am I going to be able to make friends? Are my friends that I made online going to like me in person? How do I make friends with people who are almost 10 years younger than me? And how do I make friends with people who have like kids or who are on the older side of things and are even older than me and have life experiences that I can't relate to? I feel kind of like in this weird limbo space, but I'm trying to keep a positive attitude about it because I have met a lot of lovely people online. I'm excited to meet some of the people that I've met online in person, like Fira, for example. She's another YouTuber here who goes to Berkeley, and I was watching her earlier today. She's a lovely person. Check out her channel down below. She is close to 300 subscribers, so like go check out her channel, sub to her. She's amazing. She also does incredible K-pop dances, which like I used to be into when I was a teenager, but I also can't dance well enough to like actually post anything on the internet, so I have a lot of respect for her, and she's also an incredible astrophysicist. So yeah, just go check her out. She's incredible. So I'm excited to like meet her, and then there's some people that I've met on Instagram, some people who I interviewed for my channel last semester who I'm all very excited to get to meet in person. So I'm feeling optimistic about it, even if it is scary trying to make friends as a transfer student coming in their senior year. The next thing that I wrote down was research opportunities. One of my fears is that I am not going to get to do a research position. Really want to get involved in the URAPs again, and I want to do it in a way that you can't really do it remotely, because you just don't get the same interaction with like the graduate students or the professors that you would if you're doing it in person. So one of my fears is that nobody is going to want me as part of their URAP project again this year, and if I do get a URAP position, that it's not going to be like one that's significant or impactful or useful in any way to like my resume and my applications. The other one that I wrote down was that I am now 1 year closer to graduating and being done with my undergraduate degree, which is both celebratory and also a little terrifying because I have been in school for such a long time that I really don't know what else I would do with my time. And I mean, isn't that what grad school is for? I'm joking, of course, that should not be the reason that you go to grad school. But I mean, grad school is in and of itself its own job. But I'm honestly just rambling at this point and don't know what I'm saying. So I'm going to move on to the next one, which is the pandemic. Going for the easy hitters, the obvious ones. The fact that we're still very much in a pandemic is a huge fear of mine. Yes, I am vaccinated, and yes, everyone in my family is vaccinated, but that doesn't mean that we might not catch it. That doesn't mean that somebody won't get sick. That doesn't mean that the university might not close down again. If cases start going crazy, that doesn't mean that we're not susceptible to different variants of the disease. So it's just a little nerve-wracking going back to school in person when things like the Delta variant are going around, and you know, the pandemic is still very much a reality for most of the world. And yeah, so that's a little scary, especially because, like I said previously, I have a chronically ill mother who is also immunocompromised. So I'm not a very big fan of going to in-person classes to like turn around and drive home and go see my mom. In fact, I'm not even sure if that's a good idea that I will actually be partaking in, which means that severely limits my ability to come home and see my family. Now that I've talked for what my camera is telling me it was 20 minutes of me being a downer, let's talk about my goals for this year. Well, I'm in position again because my legs are falling asleep. Goal number 1, it might be obvious, is to apply to grad school. I know that I just talked about grad school being a huge fear of mine, but it's also a huge goal of mine. I do want to go to grad school, not because it's something to do after graduating, but because I am actually genuinely interested in doing research, especially research in the Mesoamerican archaeology realm of things. I want to be able to contribute to the scholarship there. I want a deeper, more nuanced, complete understanding of Mesoamerican archaeology and Mesoamerican ancient cultures, and think about the development of cultural complexities, all of that good stuff. And I have found quite a few faculty who could potentially be advisors who do some really fascinating research in those areas. It is all very fascinating and interesting, and I want to be a part of it, which is why I want to apply to grad school. The next one that I have is to get deeply involved in research, is what I wrote down. So like I said before, I want to get involved in a URAP project. But I specifically want to get involved in a URAP position in such a way that I get more deeply involved in the research, get to know the person conducting the research, whether it's a graduate student or a professor, and really get into it, I have never conducted a research project on my own, on the large scale of something like a thesis or in a PhD program, which is something that I think will be detrimental to my application to grad schools. I don't have the time nor the topic to do a specific honors thesis in my last senior year because I only have 1 more year left and it's a whole process anyways. So I figure that doing assisted research or being an assistant researcher is the best next step to doing an independent research project. So I really want to do that so that I can better see what a research project really looks like when it's carried out in full. Moving on, the next thing that I had as a goal was to join a dancing club. Which, as silly as it might sound, I really love dancing, and dancing online via Zoom is just not a vibe. I mean, I'm willing to do it, especially to join the ballet classes that are offered by Berkeley, because I did try to do ballet classes at a studio near my apartment, but they're not doing adult classes right now. So the next best option is to do they do Zoom classes, which I will attempt to join, but I'm also really interested in the swing dancing dance clubs, and I think there's like 2. The one I'm thinking of is like Lindy on Sproul or something like that. So I am incredibly excited to join that because I love swing dancing. James and I used to swing dance back before the pandemic and before we didn't have time to do things. So yeah, join a dancing club. The next one I have, which might sound obvious to people, is to make friends. I have talked about friends a lot in this video, and clearly you guys, I'm sure you can tell it is a bit of an anxiety for me because I just want to have friends and not be lonely, which I don't think is asking too much, but we'll see how it goes. The next goal that I have written down is to finally take advantage of the facilities on campus, because I get to finally be in person. I want to actually study at the library, use the Anthropology library, go to the museum, look at the collections, try to get into a lab to do research, explore the buildings, use the ARF, go to the paper bag lectures at the Archaeological Research Facility, or maybe even use the recreational center, like the gym and that kind of stuff. So that's a goal. I want to make the most out of this year that I can, milk it for all it's worth, because last year was stolen from me and I'm still mad about it. And then last but not least, the last goal that I have on my list of goals is to get good grades again, which I'm sure is a goal for every college student, and we will see how this goes because I'm sure that the transition back to in-person is going to make classes harder. I just have a feeling that the answer professors have been going easy on me, or their students in general, or maybe not, and I just have imposter syndrome. But the point is, I would like to get good grades still, which I think is going to be a little bit of a challenge for me, trying to juggle all of my school responsibilities in conjunction with the things that I have going on outside of school, like accepted consulting. And now that I am out of breath, have to use the bathroom, and I've lost my voice, and also have 20 minutes to be at an appointment to get a COVID test, I'm going to wrap up this video here and say thank you so much for watching. I got almost nothing done on this puzzle, but it was still fun to play with the pieces. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Tell me one fear and one goal of yours for this in-person semester if you're having one. Subscribe for more UC Berkeley vintage transfer and sometimes archaeology related content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!